Feels so nice to be here today, so nice. We have gathered around the fire again, so nice. Hearts open to hear and heal, so nice. We are alive, so nice, so nice, so nice. Such an honor to share my words with you. Ask the spirits to guide us the whole way through. May our past and futures collide in this place. Carry us all in a warm embrace. It feels so nice to be here today, so nice. We have gathered around the fire again, so nice. Yes, hearts open to hear and heal, so nice. We are alive, so nice, so nice, so nice. I am grateful for the privilege to speak here on the historic lands of the 6 nations of the Grand River Territory. I am pregnant on purpose. Privileged and petrified. I have a 2-year-old daughter, and prior to becoming a mother, I thought that parenting was about the child. I'm petrified because I quickly learned that parenting reveals, with searing clarity, a lot more about the parent. The experience of having my daughter watch each of my actions and listen to every one of my words has summoned me to ask myself if I am living with seamless integrity. This is the 2nd fetus that I hope to carry to term, and my 3rd pregnancy. My first pregnancy, I was 19 years old, and it was not on purpose. I had an abortion. I have rarely said these words aloud. Yes, abortions are legal in this country, but for many of us who have them, they quickly become our secrets. I've been thinking a lot lately about how secrets have been ruthless thieves in my life. They have stolen bits of my imagination and compromised my ability to do the work that my imaginings require. And so I have decided today that I will tell secrets, secrets that I have previously only been uttered in hushed tones amidst tears that have brimmed on eyelids and pooled on floors. And I will tell these secrets because I have learned that freedom is on the other side of truth-telling. Now, of course, there are many truths, and the telling of any one of my truths directly affects the lives of others. So to those who I love, whose lives might be affected by my truth-telling today, I ask for your understanding and for your forgiveness. My parents held a family meeting when I was 14 years old. They told my sister and me that they had decided to separate. Days later, I read a letter that was not addressed to me, and in it I found out that my father was HIV positive. It was 1991. HIV was barely being discussed in dominant discourse, and when it was described as a dreadful, incurable disease that meant a certain quick and painful death. I swallowed the words I was not meant to read and waited for someone to tell me. And as silence filled each passing day, I learned what it really means to keep a secret. The immense control it requires, the fear it evokes, the personal sense of shame that builds, and the consuming guilt that quickly follows whenever the burden of secret-keeping becomes too much to bear and we tell. My father later told me that he identified as bisexual, and by the end of his life, he identified as gay. He died when I was 22 years old. I was his primary caregiver in the 4 months that saw him go from being diagnosed with operable colon cancer to the disease ravaging his body and eventually his mind. I was there when he took his final breath. My sister and I gave the eulogy at his funeral. He had 2 churches, but was really only an engaged parishioner at one of them, the Metropolitan Community Church of Toronto, a stalwart of lesbian, gay, transgendered, bisexual, and queer communities. I went to that church with my father sometimes. It was there that I experienced the sense of community, acceptance, and love that church provided for so many of its members. They laid hands on me on several occasions and helped me to understand in tangible ways that we are all people, striving, living, loving, imagining, and doing. In accordance with my father's wishes, we held his funeral at his other church, the one with no overt signs of LGBTQ communities, the one he would visit periodically to ensure that it would still be appropriate for his funeral service. He knew his death was imminent. He knew that not all of his co-workers or community members knew that he was gay or HIV positive. He knew that not all of our family members knew his truth. He knew that his daughters would be responsible for his funeral, and he didn't want us to have to reveal or explain his life. Yet despite his thoughtfulness, his understandable choices to keep secrets left my sister and me, dodging questions and eulogizing him without ever acknowledging his male partner and the tremendous love that they had shared. Shared secrets don't just magically disappear, not even in death. Instead, they simply multiply exponentially for those who are left behind. My father spoke frankly to me about his death, and on many occasions he urged me to get on with the business of living after he died. So I tried. I tried hard. But when I could no longer manage living, I smoked copious amounts of marijuana and slid into a deep depression that led to a psychotic episode and 2 forced hospital stays in psychiatric wards. My mother and my friend signed the court order to send me to the hospital. They were worried for my life and could no longer reach me with words and reason. I had lost contact with words and reason. My mother and friend likely saved my life, and I returned their courageous love with searing anger. I felt betrayed. How could I, a young black woman who had lost her bearings, be safe, much less heal, in any government institution in Canada? But where else could they send me? I was 23 years old. It was 2001. Once I figured out that I had the right to discharge myself from the psychiatric ward, I did. But I wasn't well, and I was returned there days later. The second time, I stayed for the length of time that their observation required, and they released me, reluctantly. I still wasn't well. Soon thereafter, my sister traveled from the United States to Montreal to find me. She literally picked me up off of the ceramic tiles in my kitchen and took me to her home. I was less than a size 0, petrified, ravaged by secrets. My sister fed and clothed me, found me an excellent psychotherapist, and it was there, in the safety of my sister's love, that I began to heal. It was hard. When I eventually returned to Montreal, I had to face people who had seen me in the depths of my madness. I was embarrassed. I lost friendships in those years of depression and early healing because I had hurt people that I loved with my words and with my actions. I learned that not all relationships can be mended. Forgiveness cannot always be sought, nor is it always given. I also quickly learned what it meant to house several secrets of my own. I now had a personal history of drug abuse, mental illness, and forced stays in a psychiatric ward to add to that list of secrets. I struggled to house all of them and manage their collective power to shape what I could imagine and do in my life. In the years that followed, I pieced together every possibility I could, seized the opportunity to work in South Africa, recorded my first spoken word album, published a chapbook of my poetry, and wrote a play. I performed in theater festivals, performed with musicians, performed a cappella, moved back to Toronto, made peace with my mom and my friend, accepted that I am bisexual, shared this with close community members, and entered graduate school to do my MFA. With each step, I was learning how to imagine again. Learning how to believe that I could actually do the work required to make what I imagined real. I doubted myself often, felt and faced fear daily. I acquired, released, and held secrets. In 2006, I told my mom that I was thinking about doing my PhD. But I told her that I was terrified, that I wasn't smart enough, that I wouldn't be able to cope, that it would take too long, that I would fall apart in a predominantly white academic space. I had barely survived the institutionalized racism and sexism I had experienced while doing my MFA. My mom told me that I had done the hardest part already. She said that I had imagined myself doing a PhD. She said that, yes, the execution of the degree would be difficult, but that imagining myself doing it was the hardest part. I was terrified when I started my PhD. I didn't know who to trust, how to write scholarship applications, how to write academic prose, or what to wear. I built community slowly, wrote 7 scholarship applications and got 4, and painstakingly wrote each essay and consistently overdressed. I was pregnant when I wrote my comprehensive exam, breastfeeding when I wrote my dissertation on female blackness in Canada, and an assistant professor at the University of Waterloo when I revised and defended my dissertation and it was nominated for 3 awards. When I graduated in June of this year, as I stood on the stage, I barely fought back a tidal wave of tears. I cried the entire next day. Tears of sheer exhaustion. The PhD was hard to imagine and hard to do. The MFA had been hard to imagine and hard to do. Telling family and friends that I was bisexual was hard to imagine and hard to do. Returning to sanity and maintaining sanity had been hard to imagine and had been hard to do. Standing here today, naming some of the secrets that have stolen bits of my imagination for the past 21 years was hard to imagine and is hard to do. But I believe that freedom is on the other side of truth-telling. We have kept secrets in my family and my communities because we have experienced and had to navigate daily the threats of racism, sexism, classism, heterosexism, and other forms of oppression. We wordlessly agreed to make and hold secrets as a means of survival and protection for ourselves and for those we love most dearly. But secrets will not protect us forever. Instead, they hold us captive from the inside. Because the violence we fear others will enact upon us, were they to find out or we to tell, we instead enact upon ourselves, upon our own imaginations. Shortly before her death in 2003, my maternal grandmother told me, after swearing me to secrecy, that as a mother of 2 young children, there was a point in her life when she had 1 pair of underwear. 1 baggie, she said in Jamaican. 1. I think she made it a secret because she was ashamed. of the socioeconomic realities her story suggested, and afraid of the judgments that might follow. But I also think she told me because she was proud of where she had been and who she had become. I absorbed her shame and fear, swallowed her words, and added her secret to the many others taking up valuable space in my imagination. I tell her secret today because the day she shared it with me, it became mine too. I tell our secret because I refuse to be ashamed about the poverty my family has experienced. I am far more interested in discussing the ways in which the economically privileged among us necessitate the poverty of many so that we can maintain our financial privileges. I tell our secrets today because I refuse to be ashamed of my sexual orientation, my father's sexual orientation, or the disease that shortened his life. I am far more interested in demanding and protecting the rights of people of all sexual orientations, gender identifications, and health statuses. I tell our secrets today because I refuse to be ashamed of mental illness. I am far more interested in discussing how we create safe spaces for all people to heal. I tell our secret today because I refuse to be ashamed of my abortion. I am far more interested in protecting the rights of all people to safely make decisions about their own bodies. I tell these secrets today because I refuse to live in fear of the judgment of others at the expense of my own freedom. Secrets steal our imagination and our capacity to do precisely because they rob us of our ability to apply the critical analyses necessary to strip secrets of their shame and fear and see them for what they really are. Stories. Stories of triumph, failure, perseverance, and pain. I am hopeful today that the stories I have housed for 21 years will no longer impede the splendor of my imagination nor encroach upon my amazing capacity to do. I look forward to the day when it is appropriate to tell my daughter and her siblings stories about their great-grandparents, grandparents, their aunt, father, and me. And in the meantime, I will continue to do the work of using my actions and my words to show my children and me what I imagine freedom to be. Ashe. Feels so nice to be here today, so nice. We have gathered around the fire again, so nice. Hearts open to hear and heal, so nice. We are alive, so nice, so nice, so nice. Thank you.